trucking on, and I'm trucking on. Move her on down the line, another town will do me fine. I'm trucking on, I'm trucking on.
All right, Michael Sartain.
What's going on, man?
Welcome back to Truckin On, brother.
How you doing, brother?
I was just thinking that 30 years ago, possibly today, we were at the very end of our 0-10 football season.
That's right.
At Woodrow Wilson High School.
I do remember that. I looked it up. I asked ChatGPT about that season.
Really? Does
Yeah.
it have the data?
Yeah, it does. I remember. I think we scored one touchdown that season.
Oh, had to have been more than one.
I thought it was one or two the whole year. No, I thought that's what we did.
I mean, I knew it was brutal. I remember two specific scores. Naaman Forest was 57-0.
I remember that.
I was on the cover of the Dallas Morning News sports page after that game, which was kind of like weird. It would normally be cool, except for we got beat 57-0.
Yeah.
And that was in the caption. Like Ward Richmond stands up, offensive lineman at Naaman Forest or something.
Yeah.
While the Wildcats
I remember
lose
it was cold.
57-0.
It was cold. Oh, did we play that in Spruce? No, where we play? That was in Pleasant Grove, I think.
I don't know.
I forgot where we
And
played
then
in for.
Hillcrest was 62-0. That was the worst.
There was a kid. Didn't he play? I remember he was Division I college running back. Do you remember that kid's name?
Darren Hester.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was also the middle linebacker. He
Yeah.
played both ways, and as we did in District 12 4A.
I think it was the gentrification of that neighborhood. So for those of you who don't follow Woodrow Wilson over the last 30 years, we were in 97, our superintendent went to jail, right?
Yeah.
So the DISD was just stealing money from itself. Woodrow was, I think we were the first school in the DISD with metal detectors. I believe that was the case. We had a teenage pregnancy problem that was so bad that they put a clinic. If you go in, you remember in the parking lot, it was our probably our sophomore year. You remember they put that clinic there,
Yeah.
and that's why they did it. And we didn't we had 1,500 students that were there when you and I were freshmen, and we graduated fewer than 100. I believe that's right.
I remember we were saying like 200 or bust was like the goal of our class. So yeah, man. But I loved going to Woodrow.
Yeah.
I wouldn't trade it for anything.
It was there are definitely lessons I learned from it that made me tougher, but I hated the fact that like my friends were going to Lake Highlands and they were like winning. And it was like, I'm looking at Steve Holly and Marcus Stiggers, and I'm like, God, man, I wish I could play on a football team like that, with us. And the thing is, when you and I were seniors, I think there were 17, the last few games, it was our junior or senior year. There were 17 guys that were on the varsity. This is 4A football in Texas because so many of the guys had flunked out or didn't make grades.
Or the good players all left.
Yeah.
And they did what you were saying you wish you had done, which like Steve Holly left, went to Lake Highlands to play football.
Yeah.
Mitchell Hill left to go to Dallas Christian.
Yeah.
And then of course, like people dropped out or got, caught up in all of that and flunked out.
It's funny.
Somebody else left too.
Robert Pringle, he left to go to Bryan Adams.
Yeah, there you go.
Here's the crazy thing. Have you ever read about the Accommodation by Jim Schutz? Have you ever read that book?
No.
Definitely have to read it. It's the best historical record of Dallas I've ever seen. It's
Really?
incredible. Yeah. It's so for people who don't notice, and if we grew up here, so we don't recognize it. We're in Lakewood, and if you go south of Swiss Avenue, the neighborhood is like pretty impoverished, or it was impoverished, and it was pretty dangerous, right there by Samuel Graham Park, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then you get into South Dallas, and then Lakewood was a really nice neighborhood. So we went to Lakewood Elementary School, and then we went to Woodrow Wilson, but Woodrow Wilson was like on the opposite side of the tracks. Like we were in north part of East Dallas, and then we went to high school in the south part of East Dallas, right? And this is, other than Chicago, I think Dallas is probably the most segregated city in America. Like you remember when we were growing up, I didn't know a single white person that lived in South Dallas. Not one, not a single one.
Well, I didn't know anyone that lived in South Dallas because I was only in Lakewood.
Yeah.
No,
so because I was hanging out with Xantar and Vernell. And I would go, and Xantar would take me out to South Dallas. And I'm like, you would go, I would go 4 or 5 hours and I did not see I was a lifeguard at JJ Craft Pool in South Dallas, and I didn't see a white person for hours. Like I'm talking, I worked there the whole summer. I don't think I saw one. And it was like, and it was really, it was interesting to me because growing up and then living in different cities like San Antonio or living in Atlanta especially, living in Las Vegas, living in Los Angeles, these different places, I noticed that like there wasn't that level of segregation that we had in this city, which is like it was really like, oh, you remember Highland Park High School? There, my dad was talking to me about this. My dad went to Highland Park, and I was dating a girl who went there, and she was like, I think they had 2,000 students and 2 African Americans. I think there were 2 black people that went to Highland Park. And so like, that's what I'm talking about. And it's not based in racism. The reason why it happened, and you should read this book by Jim Schutz. What happened was during the civil rights protests that happened all over the country, they never happened in Dallas. And the reason why was because a lot of the black leaders in this city they came to an accommodation with the city council. And they basically stated, black people will live in this part of the city, and then white people will live in this part of the city, and then we'll keep the cops off you, except they had an accommodation. And then the first black neighborhood in the northern part of the city was right there at Walnut Hill and 75. Right, that area right there was the first time. And it was like there was this informal thing, like lenders would not let you, if you were African American, go to this part of the city. And there was this thing called redlining back in the day. And so it's really interesting when you see that. And then what we live in, I don't think this is a racist city, but I do think that it is crazy to me how we still have these neighborhoods that are entirely one thing or the other. Chicago is like this too. No, Chicago's like this. Los Angeles is not like this at all. Like Los Angeles is very mixed. Same thing in New York, same thing in all these other places. Miami is super diverse. But in Dallas, it's like, you understand, like, I remember growing up in Lakewood and not seeing a black neighbor my whole fucking time that I lived there, like not once, you know?
Yeah.
And then I would go into Varnell's neighborhood and I didn't see a single white person.
But here's the cool thing about Woodrow. It was very segregated.
Yeah.
No, integrated. It was integrated.
So, but here's the thing though.
Right?
It was
integrated.
It was integrated because of where we were.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
And that's what I meant to say.
Yeah.
So like we had very diverse through really Lakewood a little bit probably compared.
No, Lakewood wasn't really that diverse.
Yeah. But Jay Along and Woodrow were for sure. It was very diverse. And we all hung out with one another, especially us because we played sports. I also took half non-honors classes for math and science, you know, and then I took honors classes for the others. That would cause some segregation, like in those.
Well, you saw that.
Classes,
you and I would be in AP class, so I had all AP classes, and I would go to track. I was, captain of the track team. I played football, and I started a wrestling team. Me and Xantar.
I remember that.
We got one of the coaches was a college wrestler, and we started a wrestling team. We get our ass kicked. We had no idea what we were doing.
Yeah, I
knew jiu-jitsu. I did not know how to wrestle, and so. We did that, and when I was doing sports activity, everyone there was Hispanic or black, and when I would go to class, everyone was white, with the exception of Robert Pringle and like a couple other people that were in there. There was one other girl, I can't remember, the Hispanic girl, and there's one other Hispanic guy that were in the class with me, and I remember thinking that I was like, it was like 2 different worlds that we were in, and then we'd go to lunch, and like no one spoke English. Not no one, but like more than half the room didn't speak English.
Yeah.
Did you ever go to the breakfasts at Woodrow? They had like the
I don't think so.
I went.
Like,
I went once
every now and
just
then.
like just break out. The other part that I think people don't recognize. I talked to Coach Reese the other day. You remember Coach Reese?
Yeah.
So Coach Reese played at. I believe he's played at San Diego State, and he was our freshman football coach. And you remember all the fights? I don't think the kids today don't do any of that.
I don't know, man. I've heard different.
They have a lot of fights.
Yeah, I heard
we had
fights.
Brawls in like during the middle of the day. I remember Coach Reese breaking up these 2 guys.
I can't imagine it was the same level.
Yeah,
and I feel like Long was worse than Woodrow about that.
It was pretty bad.
Right.
I mean, the other thing is like when you think about the concept of the school shootings, not to say that like to downplay it, but we had one guy shoot himself in the leg when we were juniors. We had that one Mexican kid who got killed when we were freshmen. Corey Montgomery got shot when we were sophomores. And then that one guy, I can't remember what his name was. I think he played tight end on the football team. and he brought a shotgun to school one day. I can't remember what the whole thing was, and none of that made the news. Nobody cared. It was not like, and we had metal detectors. I try to explain to people, and then I'm like, we played football on a pile of dirt. Like, do you remember Coach Reese tore his ACL because he stepped in a hole on our football field? It's like, it's crazy to go back and think about it and like remember. And then I go to UT Austin, and it's like there's nothing but white people. There's nothing but, like, that was the whole thing, and it was very different for me, seeing that whole situation.
I went to Brown,
Yeah, I know.
Brown was very diverse, I would say, but also very segregated. Like, socially, all the different races and ethnicities hung out together.
Yeah.
And that wasn't so much. I did not feel that way at Woodrow because I was in half AP, half non-AP classes, and I played sports. And so because of that, I hung out with everybody. When I got to Brown, it's like the black people are in the black fraternity,
That's
Jewish
wild.
people, Jewish fraternity. The Asians hang out, like even all the different sects, like the South Koreans hung out over here. And I remember there was a racial orientation seminar my first week at Brown, and like being a part of that and hearing them explain it, and then also just feeling that segregation more so than I ever felt in high school growing up in East Dallas. It was like, this is weird because you're talking about not being racist, and it's not like anyone was racist there, but it felt weird that people were so segregated in college at this like liberal arts institution, yet at Woodrow, everybody's like hanging out.
I think the military and sports makes you kind of post-racial. I think that's the thing. Like, that's why I haven't said this, but like, I don't see that. Like, the race part was never an issue to me. Like, I'm friends with Andrew Tate and Myron Gaines. They talk about race constantly. They're both black guys who make fun of black people, right?
Yeah.
The Hodge twins, they're out there in Las Vegas with me. And it's just, for everything, there is very stereotypical beliefs about what they think. And for me, because I think the military is super diverse. It's extremely diverse. I mean, everyone. I had Filipino officers I was with,
and you're all brothers.
They're all brothers, yeah,
or sisters.
And the other thing is,
what about that? Like, what about the relations with the females and the males in the military? How did that go down?
So it depends on what we're talking about, officers and enlisted. So I was dating an OSI federal officer for a while, OSI officer, and I will tell you, I personally did not think it was a good idea for me to date anyone in the military, so I kind of avoided it the whole time. Because I was an officer, I can't date enlisted. And the hottest girls I saw in there were enlisted. There's a bunch of, like, I don't know if you know, like Kindly Myers. There's a bunch of Playboy models. Kindly Myers, what's her face? Combat Barbie, Rihanna Carpenter, Nara Ford. All these girls were like, they're Playboy models. They were all enlisted in the Air Force or the Army or whatever.
Yeah.
Rihanna Carpenter was in the Marine Corps. And I was like, yo, I can't, you can't talk to those girls. Like, you can't do anything.
Because you're an officer.
Because I'm an officer. And by the way, if we get in trouble, I get in trouble. She doesn't get in trouble. She's an E3. She doesn't get in trouble. I'm an O3. I get in trouble.
Yeah.
And so, it was a weird thing. I always try to date outside the military. And I remember when I was in the military, I had this is one of the weirdest parts. I managed a strip club out of college, and I went to UT Austin. I mean, there were just girls everywhere.
Yeah.
And I get into the military, and I remember my first deployment to the Middle East. We're KC-135 tanker crew, and I was the navigator. And the boom operator was 19 years old and married his high school sweetheart. The pilot had married his sweetheart from college, and the co-pilot married the first girl he'd ever slept with. They were all three married. And they're like, what about you, Sartain? And I was like, yeah, no, that's not what's going on with me at all. Meanwhile, I'm going to Atlanta. I was stationed Warner Robins, Georgia. I would go to Atlanta every weekend, and I was dating like 6 girls. My life was so different. The idea of like getting in the military and then getting married seemed crazy to me. I was like, why would you get married?
I remember Steve Hawley married Molly Sherman.
Okay.
And like right when he became a Navy SEAL, but they got married pretty young.
No, I know that they do it, and everyone did it.
I think that was like a military thing that I'm going to go get married.
You get so many benefits.
That seemed young to me back then.
You get so many benefits, but then again, I'm 48 now and I'm not married. So like maybe that was the point where I should have done it. But I remember at that point being like, bro, I'm going to travel the fucking world. I don't care. I don't want to do this. I don't want my wife cheating on me while I'm deployed for 10 months. I don't want to do any of that. And it happens so often, man. And I was just like, I want nothing to do with that lifestyle. And so, yeah, man, I remember like a good 15 years where I was just trying to date the hottest girl I could find. I did not care anything about her personality. Not that I didn't care about her personality. I didn't care what her political beliefs were, her religious beliefs. I didn't care what she did for a living. I didn't give a shit. I remember that for the longest time. And probably until like 10 years ago, I didn't care. Because I didn't want to be in a relationship, you know? And it was just a really interesting thing to go back and look at. And I don't know where that came from. Probably from like girls not picking me in high school and college, you know? And then it comes out later and then you're just like, man, I could date all these girls. I'm going to date everyone. Austin ruined you. I'm going to be honest with you. There's just, you walk up and down 6th Street for 4 years and it's just beautiful women all the time. And now every girl's like stuck in her phone and it's just such a different dating scene than it was 30 years ago.
Yeah. So you have a girlfriend now? You said that you took her to the cemetery.
There's a very important person in my life. That's all I'm going to say. The problem. So here's the thing. You remember my previous girlfriend?
Yeah. We went to dinner.
Yeah. You guys went to dinner. The issue is that she got so much shit online because she was my girlfriend. And the guys who were talking shit could never date anyone as hot as her. And now we split up, very amicable. She moved back to Houston. We're still cool. And she's still paying for it.
How did she get shit for it? Like, how does that?
YouTube videos, Reddit stuff, people making Instagram comments about her, calling her all kinds of names. And then the age appropriate shit didn't bother. So I was 45 and she was 20 when we started dating. And that didn't bother me. I didn't care what people thought. But if you believe in age appropriateness, you're just an idiot. So I don't give a shit. And they were like, what do you guys even talk about? I'm like, SEC football. She's a Razorback and I'm a fucking Longhorn. We had plenty to talk about. She was
cool. We had dinner.
She's awesome. Yeah, she was great. Yeah. We had plenty to talk about. We rescued animals together. The issue was she had a medical issue that caused her to get a boob job. I'm not going to go too far into it. So now she's a 22-year-old girl with a boob job. And she had this really pretty face. She had nothing done to it, no plastic surgery whatsoever. And everyone was like, she's so fake. She had all this work done and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yo, she's had nothing done. It's crazy. And you're coming after this girl. And I'm always like, yo, I'd love to see what your girlfriend looks like. What the fuck are you talking about? My girlfriend looks like Megan Fox. Like, and I remember like at first not like, I was like, yo, this is nothing but helping me. We got more clients from it. Like guys was talking, every time people talk shit, it just helps me. But it's not healthy for a 22-year-old girl to be dealing with this. You know what I'm saying? And yeah. So I made up my mind from this point forward. I'm just not talking about who I'm dating. And then everyone else in my space, they were already doing this. I remember because I brought her out and she came on podcast with me because I wanted to show proof of concept. I wanted to show these guys it's like, I am a guy who says what I say. And I have this gorgeous woman who loves being with me. I wanted to prove to you that I'm not just talking shit because, you know, I for my performance coaching program and it kind of worked, but then it backfired because it was like, no, it doesn't matter. If I had Sydney Sweeney just like on my dick the whole time, dudes would talk so much shit. And I was like, this doesn't help. So, and then everyone else in the space, like they kept their relationships under wraps, but mostly it's because their girlfriends aren't that hot. But then I was just like, I'm never doing this again. I'm never letting anybody know who I'm dating again.
Yeah.
It's just
That's
a bad,
smart.
Yeah.
Do you see yourself being in the public eye for your life?
I think at this point I don't have a choice. CBS News came and interviewed me a couple months ago. I'm not that. So it's one of these things where,
I mean, like being so present on social media, because it seems like, you know, if you're not in everyone's face all the time, you can probably like not have to deal with all that bullshit.
So you remember, you know, it sounds like a million years ago when I would post everything that was on my social media. Now I don't post anything.
Yeah.
I have a team that does it. And then I have affiliates that sell my program. And so there's other sites that show images of me. So my images are everywhere. And even if I left this company, they would still sell my program. So it's like, that's, I don't think
you're always there.
I don't think that'll ever go away. That part of it. The other thing is, I'm trying to think how to explain it. I don't want to call him out specifically because I'm a huge fan of Chris Williamson, but Chris Williamson will say shit like almost verbatim that I've said before. And I don't think he got it from me specifically, but he got it from someone who got it from me. He did
the
this
zeitgeist.
he did this one thing where he was like, hey, like if you're a guy and you're single and you're going to bed at 8 p.m., you're not going to get laid for a decade. And so that's what I said. And then he repeats it verbatim on his show. And then there was another one where he was talking about women choose who other women choose. And then he starts talking about pre-selection. I'm like, bro, I'm right here. Just have me on your show. Like, why don't you just have me on your show instead of saying the shit? And then he'll talk about Rolo.
I go to bed at 9 p.m.
Yeah, right. But you have women in your life.
I know. That's what I thought.
So you can go to bed at 9 p.m.
Oh, okay.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
What I'm saying is if you're a guy who has no women in your life,
yeah,
and you only go to bed at 9 p.m.,
yeah,
like you're going to get a reservation at Komodo at 9 p.m. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's my point. If you only go to bed at 9 p.m. or these guys who get up at 3 a.m., you're going to have a hard time meeting someone. But if you already have girls in the pipeline, then you don't have to worry. If I was married, I'd be going to bed at 9 p.m.
I'm dating someone now, and I was introduced to her by my high school Sunday school teacher.
Yeah. Was your Sunday school teacher male or female?
Male.
Male. Okay.
Yeah. And she's a nurse. He was her patient. And I hadn't talked to him probably since college or something. And we randomly reconnected somehow through my dad. And then he's like hit him, like he's like, you need to meet my nurse that's helping me with my hip replacement. And that's how it happened. But really, I was living that life because I don't go out. And also I'm raising 2 kids as a single dad half the time, running my business. And I also just like did not prioritize finding women. But I guess if you want to prioritize that and then you go out, but like meeting women out after 9 p.m., that's not going to fit well with my lifestyle.
Well, of course.
So if someone's going out after 9 p.m. on a regular basis, and that's where I'm going to go find them, that wouldn't have been good for me because I don't drink and I don't go out. And I'm just into different things. So then what do you say?
Well, I agree with you, but the problem is like you have gone out at 9 o'clock before. You have,
of course.
Even without drinking, like, so I don't drink either, right? The thing for me is like social situations, they get more intimate when the sun goes down. That's just a function of psychology.
Yeah.
Right. And it's just like not to get too specific here, but if anybody who's listening to this, if you go back and think about the first time you had sex with the last 5 partners you were with, the sun was probably down. The first time you had sex with them, it's almost guaranteed that the sun was not up when that happened. I mean, maybe you guys took a trip to Cancun and it was a daytime thing, but for the most part, it is always at night. And so that's my thing is like that social part, that initial part. Now, going back to what you said, you didn't prioritize getting after women because it wasn't an issue for you. What I'm saying is like if you don't have any vitamin C, you get scurvy. Vitamin C is not a miracle cure. It's not a miracle drug, but if you have scurvy, it's a miracle drug. Vitamin C cures scurvy, right? If you have low testosterone, exogenous testosterone cures hypogonadism. You don't have hypogonadism anymore. So it's not important until you don't have it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so the thing is for you, like you grew up in a city with a bunch of beautiful women. Like it's not, and you're not going to have the difficulty that a lot of my clients have. And so for you, I understand I wouldn't prioritize it either if I was you. But for other guys, they would prioritize it or because they just don't have it at all. This guy's like 5'4" and Indian, and he's like, he hasn't had a woman look at him twice in 10 years. He was in an arranged marriage. His wife left him because she started watching fucking TikTok. She took half of his money and now he's sitting here confused. He has no idea how to date women today. He thinks that everybody needs to go on dating apps or go do cold approach pickup. He doesn't have a clue of what he's talking about. And then he comes to me and I'm like, yo, bro, all of this is wrong. We got to start over, man.
And what do you tell him?
I tell him a couple things. I tell him to have a shit ton of female friends. This is like kind of a controversial thing. I don't know why it's still controversial, but it's like there's a bunch of data. When I asked you about your Sunday school teacher introducing you to the girl that you're seeing, most women, especially the most attractive women that I interview, they say that they met the guy that they dated almost exclusively because a woman introduced them.
Yeah, yeah.
And so like, so it's like, so here's the thing for those of you who are just because there's a lot of dudes who hate when I say this shit. Like, I could never be friends with a woman. Okay, I get it, bro. I understand. We'll call them female teammates. They'll say this, and then so if you and I were doing we're high ticket closers, And we found that for some reason, prior military guys over 40 bought our program, or bought or whatever our service was at like 10x the rate of everyone else. We're going to start running ads to prior military over 40. We're going to do that. So I don't understand. Like if you would optimize for whatever that lead was, if it worked. So if women keep saying that women are introducing them to dudes, then why don't you have a ton of female friends? In fact, if you wanted to go to bed at 9 o'clock every night, then the way to do that and still meet beautiful women is to have a shit ton of female friends, have charity events around 7 p.m., maybe go to a run club in the morning, do something where you guys all go to an escape room, whatever, go play Top Golf at like 4 p.m. on a Saturday. There's things you could still do, but you would need females to introduce you to more women. And then the other thing I would say is, and mainly just because it's scalable, it's not the most important thing unless you don't have it, which is social media. Social media is not that important unless it's bad. If it's bad, then it becomes important. So just imagine you and I, we get in a car accident, we go to a personal injury attorney. If we go in the personal injury attorney's office and there's like no couch, like the rug is halfway laid, but half of it is like bare concrete. One of the walls is missing. We'd be like, yo, what is wrong with this personal injury attorney? This guy's weird. That's what it looks like to women when you have a shitty Instagram. They come there and they're like they're looking for some way to like spy on you, to get to know, to invest emotionally in who you are. And if your Instagram looks like shit, which by the way, 95% of the guys listening to this right now, your Instagram looks like shit. If you don't have that, and it takes so little effort to fix this, if you do that and you just look relevant, competent, looks like you have access to scarce networks and locations, look like you have humor, charisma, pre-selection, social proof. If you have those things, then what happens is, because that was the second thing we asked the girls. We're like, how'd you meet the last 5 guys? So like, I'm stuck hundreds and hundreds of girls. And a lot of these girls were in their 20s, really pretty, no tattoos, no OnlyFans, nothing like that. We would ask them the same thing. It was like, have you been on a dating app? And they're like, almost exclusively no. Has a guy met you through cold approach, come to a bar and started talking to you and you started dating him? Exclusively no. How'd you meet the last 5 guys you slept with? Almost 80% of them were saying, is because a girl introduced me. What's the first thing you did after you met the guy? And she's like, all of them, 100%. I checked his Instagram. 100% of the girls said, I checked his Instagram. It's like, again, the leads.
That's for sure. And it goes the opposite way too. Yeah, like,
of course,
if you're meeting a girl, you're going to want to go look at her Instagram and see, like, does she have real friends?
Yeah. But here's the thing. If you go check her Instagram and she has 3 photos, you saw her in person and she's stunningly beautiful.
Yeah.
And she has 3 photos up and her Instagram is private and it says surgical nurse up at the top. That doesn't make you less horny for her. Right? Women can have shitty Instagram. It doesn't matter. Women don't have, you can see my attraction towards a woman is independent of anyone else's thought. Right? Do you know? So this is a massive difference between men
I have
and
a difference between, there's a difference between me and you, which is I have kids.
Yeah, of course.
So I have to also set aside sexual attraction and put on like psychoprotection.
No,
like then
for the kids.
Yeah. Well, then you got to look into that. And then that's kind of like, I'm at a stage of my life where if there are any signs of like, this person does not have like community or friends and things like that, then like, what's the matter?
Oh, you're talking about the girl protecting them from your kids.
I'm talking about protecting my kids from a woman that might be be a sociopath.
Totally understand.
So that's kind of like something why I want to go see the Instagram is more like, is there like, does this lady have friends?
The capability for empathy.
Like have family, and is she does like you can tell by looking at someone's Instagram, like this person is kind of like living in seclusion from society, and that's a big red flag.
So there's these issues with if you look at cluster B personality disorder, so that's borderline personality disorder, histrionic, narcissism, and antisocial personality disorder. If you look sociopathy, if you look at that, they tend to have like a lot of attributes that are similar, and one of them is a lack of empathy and a lack of impulse control. And so that's what I would look for on my social media, on her social media. But the main thing I look for, because you're never going to know a girl's body count, doesn't matter what she says. The main thing I look for is like how much stimulus does she crave? How much stimulus does she need? Not how much stimulus does she get. If she's beautiful, she's going to get a lot of stimulus. Guys are going to come up and talk to her. She's going to get offered to go to play. I don't mind that she gets a lot of stimulus. What I care about is that she craves a lot of stimulus. Like have you been on a date with a girl and then all she's like, oh, my friends are going on stage to see Tiesto, and she just like leaves the date.
Yeah,
that's
and
a woman.
Thinks that's a cool thing.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, and when it's not to someone like me or you, I would assume.
Or she needs to go to Coachella without her boyfriend. Like that is an exceptional level of stimulus. So this is the test that I created. It's called the Chris Brown test. And we doesn't have to be Chris Brown. You could swap in Machine Gun Kelly, whoever it is. Chris Brown, women go crazy for this dude, right? They'll pay $1,200 to take a photo with him. Their boyfriends are like standing in the photo. The dude, Chris Brown's like grabbing a girl's ass and her boyfriend's just like right next to him. It's weird. These weird cuck photos.
I witnessed this in Tulum. I was there during COVID and he was at a bar.
Yeah.
And I watched this happen in real life. Like, Chris Brown is at this bar. We have to go there.
Yeah.
And like, who fucking cares?
Yeah.
Like, no offense to Chris Brown. I don't really know that much about the guy. Like, I actually, if I do know anything, I think about the press of him like being an assaultive person. So that's really interesting that women would be attracted to this guy who is kind of known for like beating up Rihanna, right?
Thank you for making my next point for me. Okay. That is exactly why we use the Chris Brown test. Because Chris Brown is a super attractive guy who's also a worthless piece of shit who beat the shit out of Rihanna and just in general is just not a good person. Just super try hard, pretends that he's get hood. Like he's just not like, this is the type of dude who would get his ass kicked in the real world, but because he's famous, he just talks a lot of shit. And the Chris Brown test is on a scale of 0 to 100, how likely is the girl that you're talking about, how likely is she to respond to a message that she would get from Chris Brown? It doesn't have to be Chris Brown. If you want to use Michael B. Jordan, well, Michael B. Jordan never hit women. If you want to use Machine Gun Kelly, if you want, whoever you want to use, but it's all it is celebrity, clout, and physical attractiveness. And there's nothing else. How likely would she be to respond to that message? It doesn't even mean that she would go and sleep with him. Drake would be another example. It used to be Drake before it was Chris Brown, right? How likely is she to respond? So the girl that I'm with now, like literally when we were dating 5 years ago, a previous time, and I'm there and I see Champagne Poppy, the Drake account is messaging her and she shows me and she's like, I didn't respond. And she legitimately did not respond. I was like,
and
okay,
that's a green flag.
That's a very green flag because she didn't need that stimulus. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And to be fair, the Champagne Poppy account is not actually Drake. It's one of his managers who just messages hundreds of girls.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not saying like Drake picked out my girlfriend or whatever, but, and then I had another girl that I was seeing, and Donald Trump Jr. called her while we were on a date together because he was like nuts about her because she was like she's kind of in the conservative space. She's like a fitness model. And it was really interesting because I was talking to her about it. And this girl has 4 million followers on Instagram. And she's like, I don't post on my social media and I don't look at the comments and I don't look at any of it. And she lives in Fargo, North Dakota. And I was like, she required 0 stimulus. And I was like, oh, this is great. Like, this is what I need. I want a girl who looks like, it's like every guy wants a girl who looks like a bottle girl, but doesn't act like a bottle girl. Right. And so that's the number one thing I would tell guys is like, how much stimulus does she need? Because you're never going to know, like she'll tell you her past, but you really don't know her past. You're never going to know. And so my whole thing is I would look and say, how likely is this girl to just get up and leave because Machine Gun Kelly messages her and says, hey, let's go to wherever the fuck. Let's go. Come with me to Coachella. Get on this private jet. If she's willing to like move, if she's willing to respond that or receive that, then it's like, there's no hate. You can still come on my podcast, but I would never date a woman like that.
But you have a lot of stimulus that you bring to the table.
Sure.
Also. So there's also like the Michael Sartain test that could apply.
I totally agree.
You could be really like that, the Chris Brown to my lifestyle.
Yeah.
That Chris Brown is to your lifestyle.
Interesting. Yeah. But the thing is, I never hit on them, but I do agree with what you're saying. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they're going to have to want some stimulus if they're going to date you.
So one of the things I saw was a lot of the things that I'm talking about, they happen because I
didn't want to compare you to Chris Brown.
Oh no, I don't care.
You know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I understand. Guys, I feel really stupid saying this, but I'm probably gonna say this. It probably is a red flag if your girlfriend comes to all my events. It probably is, honestly.
Yeah.
Because like a lot of if you listen to a lot of guys in the manosphere red pill space, they're speaking from pain. The pain was girls didn't pick me. I was dating this girl and she cheated on me. This is how girls who cheat act. and they act like all girls cheat. I am not speaking from pain. I'm speaking from the opposite point. I'm speaking from the guy who's on stage at Excess watching your girlfriend cheat on you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I'm speaking from the guy who like meets a stunning girl when I'm out in Los Angeles, and then she tells me she doesn't have a boyfriend, and then I check like a couple weeks later and she's engaged. I'm speaking from the opposite. Like my friends, like I know a bunch of male strippers who live in Vegas, and like these are the guys your girlfriend is cheating on you with when she goes and does the girls trip to Vegas without her boyfriend. And so like from that's the standpoint that I'm looking at it from. I'm not looking at it from, oh, I was hurt and women are terrible. I'm looking at it from the standpoint like, yo, bro, I'm part of the problem. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm the one inviting your girlfriend to Dan Bilzerian's house. Like I am part of the problem. And so when I do that, I can describe the issue better. It's almost like a guy who used to smoke and he's like, he gets lung cancer and he's warning other people like, don't get lung cancer. I'm telling you right now that an excessive level of stimulus, some of my closest female friends, I would never date them because they come to everything. They go to every fucking party. Every night I want to go out, they're always there. They bring like 3 or 4 friends with them. And these girls are super hot. And I could see when I introduce them to my guy friends, the guys don't see, I have 2 guy friends right now. These guys are worth a lot of money. They're both one of them's a huge social media influencer. So he's probably got like 10 or 20 million in the bank. And another friend of mine, he's a TV producer and he's probably worth more than $600 million. And it is fucking crazy the women they choose. And they're choosing them just because these women are super attractive. There's no other reason. They're not screening for anything else. And so, I used to manage a strip club. Like I can pick out when a girl's a sugar baby in about 2 seconds.
How often do you go out?
Now probably twice a week, maybe less.
Yeah.
I don't have to go out.
What did you used to go out?
When I first moved to Vegas, I would go out 7 nights a week.
Yeah.
When I first moved there. Now
and it's always been part of your job to a degree, right?
Yeah.
Right,
I got to recruit for my events, to recruit for my competitions, and to recruit for the charity events, and to recruit for my podcast. Yeah, I got to go out.
Even 2 nights a week. So that's in Vegas going to an Excess or something like that.
Yeah. But I don't drink, and I only go out for 45 minutes to an hour.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I keep it pretty short.
It is, and you go out, I would say, with the mindset of work more than play anyway, right?
I go out with a mission for sure. When I go out, and this is another thing I would tell guys, I don't go fuck around. Don't grab a drink, sit by the bar, and just look at the crowd. Go in there and be like, I tell guys, I give all my guy friends, my clients, I give them like 5 events that you can invite girls to. So like coming up, Teddy Ball in San Diego, November 29th. Babes in Toyland, Los Angeles, December 4th. Babes in Toyland, Las Vegas, December 11th. And then it's going to be like Excess is going to have Rufus Du Sol, December 31st. There's the Playboy or the
Rufus Du Sol. That's a good place to meet a lady.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's a good place to meet an attractive lady. Maybe not a good lady, but definitely a very attractive lady.
Yeah.
So Rufus is a great example. Rufus Du Sol is Rufus Du Sol is the artist that your date would leave you for in 2 seconds if she's high stimulus.
Okay.
Right. And so when I'm there, I'm surrounded by these stunningly beautiful, but super high stimulus women that would be very bad partners. And they're doing anything and saying anything they can to get on stage with Rufus Du Sol. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I'm not speaking from a place of pain or hurt. I'm speaking from a place of eyewitness.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I think that's a big issue. And then, like I said before, it's like, how much stimulus does she need? What you want, and I'm sure you've seen this before, the relationships when they work is like when the happiness that the both of you need is the dog that you rescued together, the Netflix special that you guys are watching, and the Raisin Canes or the Taco Bell that you just ordered that shows up later. You guys get up and go to the gym together, and like the stimulus you need is from each other. That's how a relationship works. That doesn't mean every girl needs to be like that. I know some girls are for the streets, and there's a bunch of like 6 girls out of every 1,000 even want to get married. That's why the marriage rate is so low. Not everyone.
What's the percentage on guys who want to get married?
It's higher, but it's not that much higher. We're at like a record low rate of people wanting to get married.
Yeah.
Also, when you and I were growing up, 75% of the U.S. population was religious, and now it's like 25%.
Yeah.
It's that part has dropped off as well. We just live in a very different world, and it's really crazy. One of the things that I've had to deal with over the last couple of years, I love listening to these guys. Like I respect their hustle. We'll pick out a couple guys here. Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh, who's another one? Steven Crowder. There's a few other ones. Who else? I would probably say even Andrew Schultz, Patrick Bet-David. What these guys all have in common is they've been married for a long time, trying to tell men who are single how to date. Matt Walsh is trying to tell men to get married. It's like, and it's so blatantly obvious they have no fucking clue what they're talking about. If you Patrick Bet-David, one of my favorite content creators, he has a show that he does, and he's got Adam Sosnick with him. And Adam Sosnick is who's a little bit young, Adam's a little bit younger. He's trying to tell Pat, he's like, Pat, it's not like when you got married, the world has changed. And Patrick Bet-David is like arguing with him. And I know for a fact everything Adam is saying is 100% correct. But these guys who've been married for 10 or 15 years, they're just like, when you explain to them, no, bro, they're addicted to their phone. It's like, no, it's not that bad. No, bro, they're addicted. The women are addicted to their phone, bro. They cannot get out of their phone. You take them to a nice dinner so they can take a picture of it. There's no, bro, it's crazy. And they don't believe it. And then they get divorced. And then they come to me and they're like, yo, I didn't know how crazy. Dude, it's all changed now. They've got brain rot from swiping on TikTok. Let me tell you something. If you meet a girl,
that's another thing when you're dating is just like, that's like the Chris Brown test is the phone test.
Yes. Yeah. That's another. So it's a necessity for stimulus. But I want you to consider this. So there's a great book called The Anxious Generation by Dr. Jonathan Haidt.
Yeah, I've heard of this.
And he goes over women born after 1995. And if you got a cell phone before the age of 12, look, you and I didn't get a cell phone until we were 23, 24 years old. Yeah. Right? Around the turn of the century. If you got a cell phone before you went through puberty, when you come out, you are highly susceptible to neurotic behavior, depression, OCD, all these problems. And then the OCD thing, what is that? Now you date a girl who got a cell phone when she was 12 years old, and then you're talking to her and she can't stop swiping on TikTok. She's like stuck. And then for some of you guys, you're like, well, I don't date girls that young. That's fine. Your daughters, your nieces.
Yeah.
And this is more of a susceptibility to women than it is to men, because women compare themselves to other people a little bit more on social media than men do. Women are twice as likely to suffer from depression. And so you'll see this, and they'll be comparing themselves online, and they'll just be stuck. So the book is phenomenal. I highly recommend it. I'm going to make all my clients read the Anxious Generation, but they go over this situation where like these people, they take away their smartphones and they give them these little flip phones. And the flip phones don't have any internet on them. Then you have to do the T9. You remember the texting where you had to push the button several times? And they're like, you can text your friends to come over and hang out and play football. You can text your friends to hang out and like do shit together. You guys can go play pickup basketball, but you're not going to sit there and scroll on the internet all day or watch pornography when you're a fucking 12-year-old. We're not allowing that. And all the other thing is, like, I have a nephew. It's like, you can play all the video games you want as long as you're playing with someone else and you guys are you guys want to get together and do Ark Revival, Teammate, whatever the fuck, or you play Call of Duty. I'm fine as long as you're communicating with someone else. And even that's not optimal, but it's better than I'm just like sitting there playing a game and brain rot for hours, and it's killing these kids, man. And so that's the thing. Like in the book, they propose making cell phones in high school and junior high illegal, like making a federal offense. And I totally agree with this. And then so smartphones illegal in high school and junior high, and then cell phones in general unusable during the school day. So basically Apple would come out with a new phone that's just basically no smart apps.
They're doing that in DISD now. Yeah. You have to put it in a pouch when you walk into school. And like you go to like a Joe Rogan comedy special.
Yeah.
When you go to that show, you have to put your phone in this.
I think it's so great. I think it should be a federal law.
My daughter has that at her school.
I think it should be a federal law. I don't think it should be because it's just like, and if I had a son and he was like, oh my God, Daddy, I want to have a phone because everyone else has a phone. I'd be like, I'd make him read the book, and I'm like, and I would introduce him to like super neurotic people. And I'd be like, son, this is going to be you if you go through puberty and you're watching this shit. And TikTok is the worst because I'm
going to order this book right now while we're talking.
Yeah. I would recommend The Anxious Generation by Jonathan Haidt. I would recommend The Secret to Our Success by Joe Heinrich. It's another great book. And then there's a third one. God, it just came out. Can't remember. I have to go back and look, but these are great books. I mean, obviously I recommend the Evolution of Desire by David Buss. I think it's the greatest book ever. One of the greatest books. I mean, I think understanding that concept and then seeing where we're headed into that brain rot, it's just so terrible. So one of the things Jonathan Haidt talks about is, of all the social media platforms, even though Instagram makes women feel the worst, it's TikTok that actually does the most damage, because what it does is it trains you almost like a rat who pushes a button to get food. It trains you
dopamine.
With dopamine, but it trains you. It's the opposite though. It trains you when you're bored, swipe away. So now I'm on a date with a guy. you're a girl, you're on a date with a guy. This guy is actually a good match for you, right? This guy makes a good living. He would be super loyal. He's a good guy for you, but he's a little bit boring. He's not as fun as Chris Brown. He's not as exciting as Machine Gun Kelly. And you're on a date with this guy, and he is complete. This guy would give you amazing children, and he'd go down. He is the man who would pick up the shotgun and go downstairs and defend his family. And you don't give him a fucking chance because you've been on TikTok swiping away guys like this. He doesn't give you a feeling that you want in 3 seconds, so you swipe him away and you put him in the friend zone. That's what's happening. It's this excessive level of stimulus that is on social media that is causing a lot of these women to have beliefs about who they can date that are unrealistic. They're not unrealistic about who they can have sex with. Women think they can have sex with a lot of men, and they're correct. They can have sex with a lot of men. Women are incorrect in thinking that those same men would then commit to them. And these guys make it worse. You know why? Because they're saying they would commit, right? They're like, oh yeah, baby, I love you so much. I know these dudes, they live in Vegas, and these guys are rich, and they've got like all these like engagement rings. They got like 4 girls engaged at the same time who all think they're engaged to this guy. And then the ultimate sign, the guy has no social media. He has no social media. He's super rich. He's got like 4 girls that he gives them wedding rings to, gives them engagement rings to, and he's just playing them all at the same time. And the women are so sure that they can get this tall, handsome dude who makes $500,000 a year to commit, and they have no chance of doing this. It's never going to happen. And so that's where we are as a society. And
the men are not committing too, because these men that you're talking about, they can basically date anyone they want to.
Those men, correct.
Then they're just like, well, they have trouble making up their minds, and they're not settling down. I'm seeing a lot of that with people from our generation that are like you, like that are successful and good looking and in their 40s. And you've kind of like have this dilemma of you're at the all you can eat buffet, and to pick one thing at the all you can eat buffet is it becoming impossible for you?
You know what makes it worse is TRT.
Oh yeah, dude.
Like
I took it. I stopped doing it. I didn't like it.
Really? Bro, I'm stronger now than any point in my life.
To do what?
Nothing, but I'm just saying, like, I'm more flexible and stronger than any point in my life. And I'm 48 years old.
I am too, but I don't need testosterone.
Right. Well, my point is.
But I'm just like practicing hot yoga, but I'm not like, I'm not as strong as I was in college when I played football, but I'm strong enough to be a 47-year-old dad.
Yeah, no.
But I feel better with the flexibility and everything. But I did testosterone. I don't like how that makes me feel. Like I meditate for some days 6 hours a day.
Yeah.
So I am into that. That is my thing.
Yeah.
And the testosterone would throw that off. Like it would make me feel, my spiritual teacher, she calls it the kill fuck hormone.
Yes.
And I don't want
that. That is what it is. That is accurate. Yes.
Yeah. So I don't need the kill fuck hormone, dude.
But
I don't like feeling that way.
You do understand your ancestors needed the kill fuck hormone, right?
I understand
or else
that.
we wouldn't exist.
That's the whole thing which is going on right now, is that people are living based upon our mind's evolution.
Correct.
But now
we can transcend it.
We have to transcend. We are transcending it. There's certain people are, and certain people won't be able to.
Yeah.
And to be able to transcend it, and then realize you don't need the kill fuck hormone. You don't need to live in fear.
Yeah.
Like we have it easy now.
Yeah, we do have it easy.
To step back and recognize that we're not the pioneers out in the wild, wild west or the caveman or whatever. And we're living in a different day and age. So we've got to reprogram the mind. And that's happening right now, like to extremely conscious people. And it's moving on like very contagiously.
Let me ask you, do you think, so I agree with you. Do you think this is where I kind of differ from a lot of people? I think in order to come to that transcendence, you have to acknowledge the problem.
Oh yeah.
So
that's to every problem in the world that you have to acknowledge it as the first step.
So here's the issue. So I study evolutionary psychology, which is the study of exactly what you talk about. The study of animal instincts is called entomology. And then there was a study after that called sociobiology back in the 1970s, and that evolved into evolutionary psychology. Evolutionary psychology is very offensive to a lot of people because it goes over these innate sex differences between men and women. Evolutionary psychology when it comes to mating. And my whole thing is for instance, jealousy is not an immature emotion that sprouted because dudes are insecure. Jealousy is an evolutionary artifact that existed because men who did not watch after their wives, those women got pregnant by other men. That's where jealousy comes from. I'm not saying it's right. I'm like an oncologist who tells you has cancer does not condone the cancer. But if he doesn't tell you have cancer, you can never transcend the cancer, if you know what I'm saying. You can't go to a cure because you have to admit that there's an issue. The problem is when people act as if we're blank slates and do not acknowledge the differences genetically between men and women or the proclivities that you have based in evolution, you can't transcend them because we have to. Otherwise, we'd all be murdering each other. Of course, we have to transcend them, but we can't transcend them if we don't admit they exist.
Have you read Eckhart Tolle?
Of course.
I think he's great at explaining this.
Yeah.
And that is it. And you've got to step away from your brain.
Yes.
And then it helps. I'm good at this because I'm an alcoholic.
Yeah.
So to stop drinking requires this reprogramming of your brain.
Or the lack of an identity. Like what he talks about.
Yeah.
Part of your identity was to drink.
Oh, totally. And that's why I drank so much is because I am this hard party and good time having guy. And I thought it was always a good thing right up until I quit. And I realized in a blink of an eye is how it happens, a spiritual awakening. Like, this is not cool, actually.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? And
or another way is it's cool or it's not cool. There's no judgment towards it, but it wasn't helping you.
Right. It wasn't helping me, but I used to think that this is the only way.
The only way, yeah.
And that's really what all spiritual awakenings is, somebody that is stuck in absolute just comfort that this is the way. And it can be drinking or it can be like going to nightclubs every night or chasing women or whatever that you're doing that you think. And I'm just saying, because that's my terminology I use. Like, I thought it was cool. And yeah, I had a lot of fun doing it and all of that. But then one day I realized that's actually not who I want to be. Right. And then you got to like go understand the brain and how it works. At least I did. And that was the biggest helping thing for me. I've done 12 steps and all that. And that's really helpful because that walks you through the process of how to go excavate all of these patterns that you've developed that like were surrounding the alcohol. But then you transcend the alcohol, then you got to start transcending other things like anxiety and shame. And then it's like, how do you do that? And that's why I'm really into Eckhart Tolle. And like he's just one example of 100.
No, he's
like
great.
Zen Buddhism, like all these books and all that. It's all the same thing.
I think if I were going to rate it, his first book is a little bit woo-woo. The second book is a little bit more descriptive for
A New Earth.
Yeah, New Earth.
Yeah, A New Earth would be where I would recommend people start with him.
And then the other one I would say is The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck is like
That's great.
It's a similar idea in regular English. And that is the idea that like it doesn't like their worthless people and their worthless opinions causing you to feel a certain way. You have to be able to transcend that. And the reason why it affects you is because you have an identity. But that like this is not even woo-woo shit. This is in psychology. Present moment awareness is a psychological function. And so I try to teach my clients this a lot because I get clients who were I don't want to, abused is not the right word, but they did suffer some trauma from their upbringing. And this generally comes from like hyper homogenous societies. And this is like Chinese people, Indian people. They were told who to marry. They were told what career to have. My friends who were German, like I have some German and Austrian clients, and they're like, so like they knew from the like all they care about is what other people think about them.
Rigid upbringings, and this is the way.
Correct.
And it's people that get indoctrinated.
Yeah, so it's rigid, homogenous societies. You know who I don't see this with? My African American clients and my Mexican clients. They don't have any problem with this because they did not grow up in a society where all they cared about was what other people thought about them.
Yeah,
and so they have a lot easier time giving themselves permission. And so, so having to explain to them. They would come on the call and they would have this neurotic, like stress face, what I call crisis face on their face. And I had to explain to them, I'm like, that crisis face that you have was from your mom telling you to sit in the corner and be quiet. But you have to understand, like, that's not the world anymore. Like, you don't have to live like that anymore. You can be expressive. It's okay. Go out and start barking like a dog in a mall. No one will care in 10 minutes. The man fucked a porn star while his wife was pregnant, and he had 2 bankruptcies, and he got elected to be president twice. No one gives a shit about anything. Like a guy transitioned, he wins a decathlon, transitions to become a woman, runs over 2 people, kills one of them, and 4 months later, Caitlyn Jenner is Woman of the Year. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I didn't even know that happened.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't watch the news.
Yeah, but my point is nobody, like when you truly understand how little people care, then you can come to this realization. It's like
drunk driving.
What do you mean?
Was Caitlin Denton?
So she did not. They did not test her.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they did not test her. A lot of people assume that's what happened, but because she did come from a bar before that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's essentially what happened. I mean, I don't want to get even too far into that. I was next to O.J. Simpson one time, and he told me that he was getting paid millions of dollars to host a fantasy football podcast. Like, what? It's crazy. Like, nobody pays for anything. You know what I'm saying? You remember Mark Furman in the O.J. trial? He ended up being a correspondent on Fox News. Like, what? Nobody cares. Nobody pays for anything that they do wrong. Like, you have Logan Paul goes off and like shows us a dead body on YouTube, and then goes off and like robs a bunch of people with some shill coin. He sells like with that drink Prime that he's got. It turns out it's like probably not very healthy for you. And if he threw a party or did a fight, he'd get paid $40 million because nobody cares. Nobody cares. Now, I'm not trying to equate this to Eckhart Tolle and enlightenment. But what I do is use this as a pathway for some of my clients to say, you are so concerned with what other people care about you. But if you think about the most famous person in the world today, whoever, Cristiano Ronaldo, Messi, Mbappe, The Rock, whoever it is, whoever, Donald Trump, whoever you think the most famous person in the world is today, if you think about how little he affected your life and then recognize that you're not that famous and that you don't really affect that many people's lives, maybe your close friends and family, but for the most part, you don't affect that many people's lives. And then you come to the realization, hey, I can just do what feels right or feels authentic rather than worry about what other people think about me.
The only thing you're affecting is the life around you.
Yes.
And with your behavior.
Yeah.
And so you need to behave in a way that you want to reflect the life around you.
Yes.
And for me at this stage of life, it's peace, right? I want peace in my life. And so I make decisions, and it's really actually very simple to live a peaceful life.
Yeah.
There's a very
it's super simple. You choose
list
peace.
of things to do. You just always choose peace. All day long, you have the choice, peace or chaos, peace or chaos.
Yeah.
And sometimes it is like, I think I might go do chaos, but I'm aware now. Like I'm aware I'm choosing chaos and I'll pay the price for it. And chaos to me might be getting a cinnamon roll. Like that's how peaceful my life is now.
Yeah.
But I'm like, yeah, well, is that going to make me feel like shit later and like, get stressed about it? But little things like committing to things and canceling, like I used to always be rescheduling and blah, 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 and doing all this. And I had a lunch today and I knew we were doing the podcast, and I was thinking, I had my kids all morning, and like, I'm going to go do lunch and then a podcast. This is going to be a long day. Maybe I should reschedule, but I was like, no, because then I'm going to have that piece of me that knows that keeping commitments is the choice for peace. Chaos is like, then I'm rescheduling doing this. So I chose peace. I kept my mouth shut. I'm like, I'm just going to go do what I said I'm going to do. And then he canceled on me this morning.
Yeah.
It's like, there we go. Because I chose peace. And then I got extra peace.
Do you remember the books?
It's The Secret. The Secret's another great book about this.
Have you remember Eckhart Tolle? He goes, if you want peace, you can always choose peace. Right. He almost makes, there's some humor in Eckhart Tolle. Like have you ever heard him? Have you heard him? He kind of makes fun of meditation, but like not meditation like what you're doing. He's talking about the Lululemon pants and the yoga instructor who has a man bun, and his name is Brock, and he says namaste, and then you have to pay $100 a month or $200 a month to be part of the yoga studio.
Yeah.
Like that is what we've been sold meditation is. And I know because I date these girls, and their whole meditation setup, it's like there's this whole setup and they're burning candles. And then I explain to them, hey, do you know that when I go shoot free throws and I hit like 20 in a row, that is meditation? And they're like, what? And I'm like, I am in the present moment when I do that.
Yeah.
Meditation is about present moment awareness. They think meditation is about sedation and sleep. No, but they think meditation is about it's not even about feeling calm. It is about being present. There's the story about the monks. And I think it was actually Eckhart Tolle tells the story. And these monks would like sit there and meditate for hours. And then another monk would sneak up on them and whack them over the head with a ruler. And he's be like, no, you shouldn't have let me do that. In order to meditate, you need to be aware. You should have heard me coming. You're using meditation to go to sleep. You're using meditation to drop below consciousness. Meditation is supposed to be in this moment. And you want to know another place for me where I get in present moment awareness? When I'm coaching and I've got 200 clients on a Zoom call, And I explain to them, guys, there's nothing but us right now. My communication with you, there is nothing in the world other than us communicating on this call. I don't have anything that's happening after. The after doesn't exist. Before doesn't exist. Whatever problems you think you have, they don't exist. I am present with you right now. And they're just like, they don't understand. I was like, that's meditation. And they're like, no, wait a second. I'm supposed to go, and I'm supposed to shave my head and do a vow of silence. Like, no, bro, that is not what it is. And it's so misunderstood in the West because it's being sold to you. It's commoditized. There's meditation clothing. There's, you know what I'm saying? There's meditation positions you're supposed to get into. And while that stuff can help, the point of it is not the position. The point is only one thing. It is present moment awareness, which leads to Satori. That's what it's supposed to be.
Have you ever done breath work?
No.
So you have to do it as a person that's into all this stuff. And when I say I meditate, I stand up and I do breath work. And I do like my own version of Tai Chi while I do it. But here's what real meditation is. It's the breath.
Yeah.
And it's being present, yes, but it's doing the breath. And you need to be living in a peaceful state to make it all work. And then what you do is you access your prana life force from the base of your spine, which you can only do by doing extremely consistent breath work for a very long time. Like, and I'm talking hour a day for years to start accessing it. Then when you do that, you're pulling this life force up, and you can go Google Kundalini awakening or Kundalini activation. That's done. Like, I mean, some people just have it happen to them like a random spiritual awakening, but it can be done. Joe Dispenza teaches this, and that's where I learned how to do it. And I just decided one day I'm going to do it and see if this works. And at the time it was because I just got divorced and I had lost some money on some investments, and I needed money and fast. And so I went to a Joe Dispenza conference because someone told me, and I went there, and all I was thinking about is I want to make a shitload of money really fast.
Sure.
And I'm going to follow this and see if it works. And I just did the work and then started experiencing the euphoria that comes with it. And this is after a long time of doing it, but the money came instantaneously. After that conference, 2 weeks later, my accountant called me and said, "You overpaid taxes by $200,000 last year." And I'm like, "What? Are you kidding me?" I mean, immediate. And
shout out to MJ, my accountant. I don't think that would happen with us.
Hey, man, I'm telling you, this is like miracles from Joe Dispenza. And then practicing that breath. But I'd highly recommend you just try it, and because I want you to prove me wrong. But what you're going to do is you're going to experience something that is life changing. And then here's where this goes from there. You're choosing peace over chaos. You're practicing breath work every single day and having that practice. And then what's going to happen is that you're going to put yourself in a place to evolve rapidly. And that's how the evolution process occurs. But it's going to take lots of people getting on board with this. And I'm doing it, and then I talk about it and I preach it, and I'm in a community now of a lot of people that are doing it. And then consciousness is going to shift, and you're using God's power. And that's how the evolution occurs, because it's beyond just human control. And bring God into it for sure.
Sure.
So that's my theory on it. And I'm practicing it. So I'm just,
well, the breathwork thing
on my own mission.
The breathwork thing has like some data in biology and in psychology. You know what I'm saying? The present moment awareness thing, like I listened to it the way that Eckhart explains it, which is what made me aware of it. But then I started looking up the data, and it's like you really see neurotic people have no ability to be present. There's like actual scientific studies on this that go over like the importance of being able to do that. We can use words like meditation or transcendence. We can use words like satori and we can use words like nirvana, etc. But like for me, it's like being present is like Michael Jordan when he had 60 points against the in the 83 playoffs against the Celtics, right? No, 86 when he had 63 points in that playoff game. I guarantee you, he was not thinking about problems in his life, right? I guarantee you, he was not dealing with stress in any way. In fact, I'll bet you if he goes back and remembers, he's like, I don't remember what I was feeling. I was just existing. Like he was probably totally present, that he wasn't even aware of emotions. He was just completely, you know what I'm saying? Like completely present. Probably the same thing when, you know, Tiger Woods wins a finals or whatever. He's completely present in that moment. He's not happy or sad. Sometimes I see people, I've had friends that were bartenders and they were like, I'm serving like 6 people at once. And like, I'm in this zone, right? And that in that moment, I'm completely present in that moment. And he's like, it's not happiness or sadness, but it is like a certain level of satisfaction or contentment that you get from that. And that's what I get from coaching. I actually get that same feeling from coaching these guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's all I'm focused on is like, you know, bringing, like distributing a massive frequency of peace, abundance, and gratitude
Sure.
to this world. And then when that's what you're focused on, that is something that if everyone's focused on that and they're doing breath work for 20 minutes a day, and you're focused on, I want to bring peace, abundance, and gratitude to this world, and that becomes the focus.
Yeah.
And you start getting people doing that, then I would say that that's the way to transcend this evolutionary psychology that we're dealing with right
Sure.
now and move to the next level, if that's what you're thinking about. And then you realize all of this stuff, like people that hate Donald Trump, it's like, well, just stop watching the news. Have compassion for Donald Trump instead of hate Donald Trump.
Sure.
If you love Donald Trump, have compassion for the people that hate Donald Trump. It's real easy. Choose compassion, choose forgiveness, choose peace over chaos. And then life gets really simple and you don't have all these worries. Do what you say you're going to do. Treat people how you want to be treated. Don't watch the fucking news, and control who you hang out with.
Yeah.
And what atmospheres you're going to. Like, am I going to go to XS nightclub, or am I going to sit at home in my chair? Which one's peace? Which one's chaos? Real easy. Then I'm going to sit in my chair and it's like, am I going to watch Manifest, or am I going to watch like some crazy fucking horror movie? Choose peace or chaos. That's how like ingrained I am in this practice. Like, I'm not going to like not watch Netflix and shit and like be a monk and live in a cave. I can't do that, but I can make these choices. And then when you start playing the game of peace over chaos, that game is a fun game. That's a fun addiction.
Yeah.
I have a very addictive personality, obviously. And that's like my new addiction is to do the peace. And then it's a fun game. And I want to be like the Michael Jordan of choosing peace over chaos.
Got it.
And I want you to use your energy and start doing this shit too, because you've got some powerful ass energy to put in that direction.
Yeah. I will say, the only thing, is where, and it might not be a peace or chaos decision, but it's, there is an epidemic in this country right now of men that are left behind, and you and I are not these men. You and I went to college, make a good living. You know, girls chose us at some point. There's guys who are like completely getting ignored, and like it's one of these things where it's hard to choose peace when you don't have food. It's hard to choose peace when you have a disease. It's hard to choose peace when you're like suffering from something else. Like there's some basic necessity that you don't have. And so for me, the thing that the mission that I've been on is, so the men who are over 40 who are divorced, are 8 times as likely to commit suicide as the general population. And so me helping them be able to get it and be able to navigate the world without, so a lot of my clients just want a wife. They don't want to sleep around. Like I'd say most of my clients are like that. They don't want to sleep around. And what I explain to them is, I don't need you to sleep with a lot of women to get good with women. What I need is for a lot of women to want to sleep with you because by the way, there was never a point where I was more attractive to women than after I read that book, after I read The Power of Now. Never. Because I was completely present whenever I was talking to women, and it's not that I didn't give a fuck about what they thought. I just didn't even notice. Like it didn't bother me as much. I knew that my life was going to be wonderful regardless of what they thought. And they were like, and you would see, when you see someone like that, a girl might say, yo, I want that, whatever that energy is he has, I want that. I want some of that in my life. And so when you meet these guys and they are so stuck in their head, and then you try to use, so for instance, a lot of the stuff I teach in the program about entrepreneurship and leadership and stuff like that, and present moment awareness, etc. A lot of the stuff I teach, the only way I can get the guy into the course is by starting off with, here's how you date a beautiful woman.
Yeah.
and I sell them what they want and I teach them what they need. But in the end,
you're secretly teaching them how to live in the present moment.
yes,
Yeah.
because present moment awareness, I talk about it all the time in my program.
Yeah.
But like, they're not coming to me any other way, right?
Yeah.
And then there's this other issue, which is on social media, because I do like part of our business is I have to do things on social media. I have to post a lot, or my team does. I don't want to say things people want to hear. And that is really the key to going viral. Ultimately, the key to going viral is saying things people want to hear, especially when someone's a victim. If someone's a victim and you tell them what they want to hear, man, you can get incredible level. Like, I'm thinking of like black pill content creators or feminists or whoever. Like they tell people, flat earthers, another example. They tell people what they want to hear. And because of that, they grow so quickly on social media. I don't tell people what they want to hear. I tell them, hey man, if you're a man and you don't want to work, life is going to be hard for you. Like, no one's coming to save you. Like,
and if anyone is feeling like a victim, then that's just like something that, through present moment awareness, you just flip over and really, like, my belief is no one's a victim.
Yes.
And you just got to take ownership of all the problems in your life.
Yep.
And if you live life that way, even though it's maybe hard to do sometimes, and even though you think you may be right, but you just say, I'm going to find a way to take ownership of every fucking problem in my life and play that game. That's a great game to play, because the victim consciousness, then you're just always going to be stuck out of the present moment, because you're going to be blaming other people, and like blame, shame, that energy is not going towards peace. And ultimately it's peace that's going to attract the life and the abundance and the girl and all those things.
A victim mentality is like the thing I have to fight against. Not me personally. Like a drunk driver killed my dad. I'm not a victim. Like, no one can make me a victim. But in general, if you were going to say who is my antagonist in this story, my antagonist is, when I get a client, is his victim mentality.
Right, dude.
And
I think it's the antagonist of humanity.
Yes.
Is the victim mentality. And I mean, it's a huge part of it.
So
it's so obvious when you start paying attention when you meet a victim. And it's like, dude, stop. Like, when you start blaming other people for your poor self, like, I want to help, but also you're stuck in that the same way I used to think it was cool to get fucked up every weekend. And they're living in this life, and like, where it's like, wait, no, if I take ownership of my problems, then that's going to shift my whole identity.
Yeah.
And that doesn't even make sense. It's like, no, I'm never, that's their fault. But then one day, this life or the next, they'll become spiritually awake and be like, oh, fuck, it's my fault.
So, this is confusing to a lot of people, because when they think of a big ego, they think of narcissism. They think of this big, thick ego that just like sort of encompasses someone's entire spirit. If you meet a guy who, like, you tell him how to do something correctly and he doesn't do it, or says it doesn't work for me like it does for anyone else, being a victim is exactly the same mass of ego, if that makes any sense. Like, people, like, having a big ego is the guy who thinks he can do anything, and it's also the guy who thinks nothing works for him. And that's one of the hardest things. It's like, I always thought that the narcissist would be the hardest, but no, the narcissist want to prove you wrong. The narcissist will take action.
Yeah.
The arrogant guy will actually take action. It is the guy. The other one is like this feeling of it won't work for me. This is where we can talk about present moment awareness of gratitude. I have a guy I interviewed a while ago named Nick Santonastasso, and he's missing 2 legs and an arm. He was born with hand-heart syndrome, and he only has part of his left arm and nothing else. And he's a multimillionaire who drives a fucking sports car and has like a super hot wife or super hot girlfriend. And I show him to my clients all the time. So whenever I have a client who's like, this doesn't work for me because I'm too short, I show him. I have clients that are 4'11". I was like, so how does it work for him? And then, this doesn't work for me because my ethnicity, women don't like that. And then I show him guys who look like, it was like, why does it work for them? And you watch their brains break, because you're taking it's not because what you're saying is working. It's because you're taking away their victim mentality.
Yeah.
And then I started to realize, like, when they'll write like super heinous shit on my TikTok, or TikTok's actually the worst.
Do you read the comments?
Sometimes I do. Cause sometimes they're actually like good feedback.
Yeah.
But it's 1 out of 10. And I'll read it, and the reason, like, hating is free, which is why broke people do it. and they're just like I was like, why would this person, like, for instance, I'll make a statement about a one particular person. I was like, well, in this guy's marriage, he was comfortable with this, but not comfortable with this. And then in the comments, it'll be like, it's wrong for you to teach people this. And I'm like, yo, hold on, bitch. I didn't teach anyone anything. I'm just telling a story. If you don't like his life, why don't you just ignore his life and then just go on and live yours? And then I realized, oh, because I attacked your victimhood.
Yeah.
You can't be a victim now because this guy who's shorter than you, browner than you, poorer than you, who lives in a small town and is unattractive, is crushing it with women, but you're not. Oh, I attacked your, like, this warm blanket of victimhood you have. I've taken it from you now.
Yeah.
That's why you're so angry with me. One of the biggest ones I get is, I'm with someone now, just with her, and I'm very happy with her. But one of the biggest ones I get is that, Michael, the reason why all those girls hang out with you is because you pay them. And it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I go on my show and I'm like, hey guys, I'll give you $100,000 if you can find a single girl I've ever paid. You can message them. By the way, they're all tagged in my IG. And by the way, anyone who's listening to this, I'll do the same thing. $100,000 if you can find a single girl I've ever paid, or a single girl that my clients have ever paid to come to one of their events or hang out with them or anything. If you can find one, I'll give you $100,000. Well, these people who are saying this about me are victims. So they never check. They never call me on it.
Yeah,
they're not actually trying to solve the problem. And when they go check, there's one guy who's checked, and every girl tells him is like, yo, Michael's never paid me anything. We just love him. Then it's like, there's one guy, and then he starts cussing out the women. And it was like, oh, I understand you don't want a solution to this problem, because the solution to the problem means that you lose your victimhood. If there is a way for an average guy to date stunningly beautiful women without using money, then everything you've been taught is a lie. And now I've taken this excuse that you've used for the last 20 or 30 years of your life away from you. So you don't, again, if you were to prove to a Christian that Jesus wasn't real, if you were to prove to a Muslim that Muhammad wasn't real, they're not going to turn around and shake your hand and thank you. They're going to kill you. That's essentially what would happen. Nobody wants to hear that their God isn't real. And so when you do that, then you get the most extreme victimhood I've ever seen. One of my favorite ones was Chris Williamson posts a study, and it had to do something with, it had to do something with cheating, and it had to do with like women with higher body counts are more likely to cheat, something that's blatantly obvious. And then in the comments it goes, no, Chris, you're wrong. And then I wrote back, I'm like, yo, Chris didn't say anything. It was a study. Chris isn't wrong. But what happened is he's taking away her victim. Like, he's taking away her ability to be a victim. It was one of the craziest things when I post data on mate choice copying in humans, and people are like, this is immature. Why are you writing this? And I'm like, well, I didn't write it. It's a study. Like,
yeah.
why do objective facts hurt you so much? Oh, because it takes away your victim mentality. It takes away your victim mode. I'm like deliberately proving that your reason for not being successful isn't a real reason. It's made up and it's in your head. And then nothing makes people more angry than that. I don't think anything makes people more angry than that. You can have a disagreement and it's fine, but like when it's like that, when you take away someone's victim mentality, then they're so that's why guys strap bombs to themselves and blow people up, because you're attacking their mentality.
What emotions do you feel when you get those negative comments or those pissed off victims coming after you?
I would say in the beginning it was more like, I need to go to the gym and work this out. And then the other ones,
anger.
I think definitely at first it was anger, but later on it's almost like pity. I'm like, hey man, obviously, like I've written this before. Hey man, obviously somebody hurt you. Hopefully you get the help that you need, whatever. And that makes them fucking furious.
Oh, yeah.
Because I call them, because I wasn't trying to be an asshole. What I'm saying is true. Someone did hurt you. Again, hating is free. That's why broke people do it. And I don't mean financially broke. I mean like just spiritually, abundance wise, they are broke human beings, scarce human beings do it. And I just didn't understand. So one of my favorite things to do is,
you battle it with compassion.
Yeah. One of my favorite things to do is I'll go to dinner with a bunch of guys who are very successful, and I'll ask them I'll film it. I'll ask as a joke. I'll be like, hey guys, how many of you guys left a negative YouTube comment this month? And the guys will look around like, what? It's like, how many of you guys went on someone else's page and left a negative YouTube comment? And the guy, I'm talking to a guy who's worth $200 million. He goes, I don't know how to leave a negative comment. Like, I literally don't know what buttons to push.
I was about to say
leave a negative YouTube comment. I don't know how to do that. I'm like, I don't like I'm too busy raising my kids. I've got a wife who loves me and I'm a business that does 20 million a year. I don't know how do you, and he's like, here, how do you leave a comment on YouTube? I don't even know how to do that. And it's like, and then I try to explain it to the guys who are leaving the comments. I'm like, do you guys understand? It's not that your life ended up shitty and then you started commenting. Your life is shitty because you're commenting. That's why it's shitty. You've reinforced your.
Have you read The Secret?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like attracts like. It's the law of attraction. It's like if you complain, then the universe is going to give you more shit to complain about.
I don't know if it's the universe. I think it's just a function of psychology. Like there's plenty of data.
How would you argue what I'm saying?
What I would say is like there's plenty of studies that show that people who are optimistic are just generally more likable and have more opportunities in life, right? Like that, but you don't have to make it the secret.
But it's a spiritual law.
It could be a spiritual law, but it also could work without being a spiritual law. Like you could make gravity a spiritual law, but it still works even if it's not a spiritual law. That's my point.
Yeah, but I just would say that like a lot of these guys you were talking about, I was talking to someone else about this the other day, and it's like, and this happens to me personally, it's like if I am dating someone, then it's almost like you find it's just like when it rains, it pours kind of a situation occurs. Yeah. And then if you're not dating someone and you're kind of like wishing that you were, then it's almost like more scarce. So it's like these things. I mean, I just read I like The Secret a lot because it helps me to reprogram myself when I'm not, and whether it's spiritual law or if it's just optimism. But I mean, it's still kind of the same thing, but it's like, if I'm going to be thankful and operate from a place of gratitude versus complaining and bitching and whining, then that just like instantaneously changes my vibe, and then it changes the world around me.
Well, if I'm operating from a place of gratitude, I could do it for a spiritual reason, but I could also do it for the reason of I live in a time with broad spectrum antibiotics, plane travel, high speed internet. I live in a time where I can get like reasonable dental and medical care. I can live like
you have clean water.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's why I have gratitude. If people don't have gratitude, go look at Managua, Nicaragua. There's people who live in trash dumps there. Like literally there is a landfill and it's full of people trying to get, whenever the trash comes and they dump the trash in the landfill, you'll see these crowds of people going there trying to dig out rotten food.
Yeah.
Like it's unbelievable. Like when you see this, it's insane. And
a lot of people that live in communities like that, they're happier than people that are living here, making $100,000 a year and thinking they're broke.
That's another thing. When I have clients that are upset, I'm like, do you understand that there's people like trying to sneak across the border right now who are way happier than you?
Oh yeah.
Like, why are they happier than you? Oh, I don't know, because they're dumb and they just don't know what's going on. It's like, no, they've chosen to be happier than you. They've chosen to do. That's another thing, man, especially because I have a lot of friends who are very, very beautiful women. And one of the problems that happens is you and I, do you remember Brendan Wallace? He played fullback at he was middle linebacker and played fullback, and he went to Army and played. I remember one time we were running the ball to the right. I was playing tight end, and I was like, I don't care what happens, I'm hitting Brendan as hard as I can. And I got a concussion, and I remember Brendan was on his back, and I remember both like it was head to head, and I remember I was like, but the point of the point of that was I knew that when I did something, there were consequences for it because I'm a man.
Yeah.
I knew I was not as fast as Jay Novacek. Yeah. I wasn't going to play in the NFL. I knew I didn't have that ability. The world told me if I saw a really nice car, I knew at 21, I did not have the money to buy that car. Everything I did, I was told no, and it didn't make me depressed. It was just these no's were the weight of the world that I was deadlifting that made me stronger. I knew when I joined the military, if I'm an 01 and an 06 walks in the room, I stand at attention and I say, yes, sir, yes, sir. I understood that. My life as a man is defined by all the things I couldn't do, but I didn't have a victim mentality. I use the example. If you watch Victor Wembanyama, the center for the Spurs, he's 7'5".
Yeah, I've seen him before.
He's destroying everything. He's like, he's going to be the league MVP like this year or next year. Well, the first couple years in the league, he's getting bullied. He's getting knocked around. And I always said, do you guys who watch Victor Wembanyama, do you think that when he watches Kevin Durant score all these points, do you think he's like, I'm depressed? Or do you think I'm going to be better than him?
Yeah.
Like that's my mentality. I'm like, oh man, this is awesome that I'm getting pushed around. This is awesome that this senior pilot or this senior navigator instructor is teaching me how to be a better navigator. Or when I was a counterintelligence officer, it was like, someone's teaching me this. I'm going to get to kick ass. Like, that's the abundance. That's the optimistic.
And they don't
life.
care about anyone else. They just care about themselves getting better than themselves.
Exactly.
And that's all they're focused on.
Yes. And so
like, they're not like, I'm going to be better than Michael Jordan. Like, no, I'm going to be better than I was today. Tomorrow.
Yeah. And so that's the mentality, like, that you have, this journey that you get to go on. The other thing is, I get this a lot. I get this a lot of times with my clients, where they'll be like, yo, man, you tell us to do these things, but it's easy for you to say this because you're already at that place. And when you go to places, people will know you. Or it's like, yeah, you asked that girl out, but you have a big podcast and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, yo, man, I wish I could trade places with you. You have no idea, dude. When I have clients who are 22 years old and I'm teaching them lessons about business that I wish that I knew 26 years ago. And they're like, dude, you have no idea how lucky you are. I wish I could go forget every movie I ever watched and every book I ever read so I could go reread them again and have that experience of the first time reading Ready Player One or The Power of Now or The Martian or Hail Mary or whatever. Some of my favorite books, the Century Trilogy, whatever, Game of Thrones. Like, I wish I could go back and like re-experience these things. I wish I could go back and relearn these lessons again. You don't know how lucky you are for this journey. And then I think about like the points where I didn't know what I was doing when I first started the podcast. And I was like, yo, I was having more fun back then. I was actually having more fun back then because I was growing. Then right now it's like, this is way off topic from what we're talking about right now. It's hard for me to do cold approach a girl in Las Vegas. And the reason why it's hard for me to cold approach a girl in Las Vegas is because they all know who I am. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So like that fun of when I first moved there, of going there and then having no one knew who I was and going up to a girl and just being like, yo, it's me versus her. Or like, it's me versus the world. Like, I got to make this happen. Like, I'm on a tightrope. And when it works out and this stunning woman wants to go out with me, it's like the best feeling. That was great. And like, I can't ever do that again. Like, every time I go out, like, they all know me. So it's like, I can never have that feeling again. And I explained to these guys, I was like, yo, it's, you have no idea how lucky you have it. Like how much you learn from the rejection of a girl. And then 3 years later, you came up, went to the gym every day, fixed your business, and you just lived this incredible abundance lifestyle. And then she's hitting you up being like, hey, I miss you. And I'm like, you miss me? You didn't even get my phone number.
I told someone the other day, like, think about that, like, for Jay-Z. Yeah. Like, he, in like any famous musician, like, to be in that like garage or on the street corner and you're starting this band when you're like in high school, or you're learning how to rap and you're like, I'm going to go conquer the world. Like, Jay-Z can never experience that again. And there's no doubt he thinks about how awesome that was. Like, I remember when we started our band with me and John Pedigo when we were at Woodrow, like being there and doing that, and that sensation of it being new and exciting and not knowing what was coming next, like that's beautiful. Like, to at least, like, it's just a good reminder today at age 47 to live in the fucking present moment.
Think of
and appreciate it.
Think of extreme examples. Like, think about how much fun it probably was for Kurt Cobain and Dave Grohl to get together in the beginning, and they're just like normal dudes playing in the grunge scene in Seattle. And then Nirvana blows up, and like any woman they wanted was coming after them. Anything they wanted physically, every single desire they could have ever had. They were the biggest band in the world. And then how does it end? I am so ungrateful I killed myself.
Yeah.
Right. And then think about the thing with Charlie Sheen was another great example. Like, my dad is a famous actor. I become an actor. I do all these incredible things. I have a problem. I have an addictive personality, and I do some drugs, and I have sex with a bunch of prostitutes. And then I start doing TV, and on this TV show, I play myself. I am rewarded as being the highest paid TV actor in the world, on top of the fact that women think I'm attractive. My people in my arena, my industry, think that I'm incredible at my craft, and I'm being paid for being myself on a TV show. I'm paying outrageous sums of money. I'm getting paid like $40 million a year, whatever it was. And so I decide to start having unprotected sex with porn stars and smoking crack cocaine until I get AIDS. Like, it's just the complete lack of gratitude. If you and I were in Charlie Sheen's position, I don't think we would have done that. You want to know why? Because we went through the turpitude. We went through the trials. We remember being rejected. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure, man.
I'm so happy that this fortune, whatever you would call it, came upon me at this point in my life, because If it had come upon me in my 20s, I wouldn't know what to do. I saved 90% of my money. I don't think I would have done that in my 20s.
No.
Right?
No.
I don't. I'm so grateful for the fact that I get to talk on the internet for a living. Like, do you remember out in front of Home Depot, Mexicans that you'd pull up there and you'd grab a bunch of Mexicans and they'd go they'd go help you build a deck in your house or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have to do that, bro. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to do yard work in Texas in the summer anymore. Like, it's just so grateful for that existence. And then you just forget about it. And then I have clients, I'm like, bro, you live in North America in 2025 and you're talking to me on a device, on a Zoom call that 186,282 miles a second, like the speed of light. And it's like basically free. Your internet is I mean, yeah, you have to pay something. It's basically free. And it's so crazy, the incredible access that you have. You can look up any battle you want. Battle of Thermopylae, Battle of Waterloo. Whatever. You can relive this intelligence. You know what's one of the craziest things? This is what a kind of gratitude. Isaac Newton was probably the smartest man who ever lived, and I know more about physics than he does. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because of all the information that's available out there right now.
Correct.
Yeah.
Isaac Newton was probably the smartest man who ever lived, and I understand physics better than Isaac Newton did.
Yeah.
And it's not because I'm smarter than him. It's because I have the gratitude of standing on the shoulders of giants. And now I live in a time where people understood James Clerk Maxwell, Albert Einstein, Max Planck, Johannes Kepler, and Galileo, and Isaac Newton. And so from their works, now I live in a place where I'm talking on the internet, like, my signal is going to be beamed to a satellite that uses quantum mechanics to figure out how to adjust the frequency or whatever. It's incredible. Like all the things, the photoelectric effect, like all these things that were discovered by these people. And now I'm enjoying the fruits of them. And I did nothing. I did nothing to pave that street out there, but I use it to drive the car. I did nothing to engineer the Cybertruck. I did nothing to do those things. And I get to live, the fruits of the labor of those incredible things that happen because I live in this society, and I have nothing but like ingratitude. And I can choose right now to eat as healthy as I want or as crappy as I want by pushing a button on Postmates and then having the food delivered to me. And you just lose sight of all of that.
And dude, then, to wrap this up, no matter who you are or where you are or what you're going through, you always have that choice.
Yeah.
And you can choose to be grateful or you can choose to be a victim. And what are you going to do?
Yeah.
And that's it. And you're not going to be moving forward at warp speed to get to where you want to go.
What's better if you
don't
living
there as a victim? You got to be doing it from a state of gratitude.
It's better if you don't. I have some friends I go out with in LA and Vegas. They're not friends I go out with. They're guys I see every day. And some of these guys are childhood actors. I'm not going to say who their names are, but like they're out everywhere.
Yeah.
Or they got famous when they were in their early 20s, back in the 1990s. And I hang out with them, and they're just so like they can never get that back. Those moments when they were younger and they were super famous, and they're trying to relive it, and like no one knows who they are anymore, and it's sad to watch. And I just don't ever want to be like that. I don't. And so like that's the thing that'll happen. But why is that happen? Because it happened too fast for them. It's actually better to generate the success slower. I would love it if it was like the moment of my greatest success is I'm 63 years old, because I'm ready. I'm ready for it.
What all those guys got to do now is find gratitude.
Yes.
And choose to be grateful.
Yeah.
And that's it. So it's pretty fucking easy.
Yeah.
All right, brother. I will see you again at our 30-year reunion.
Okay. So who's planning this?
You are.
I didn't.
You're the fucking party planner.
Bro, I can't. I don't live here. I need someone else to plan it.
I can be your boots on the ground. I will help you out.
So
Zach Reddington's supposed to plan it, and I can text him.
So this would be May of 2026.
I think they've been doing it around homecoming. So we
sooner
can
around
go to a
homecoming.
football game. I think that would be a lot cooler.
Can you put me in a group chat with Zach? I will promote the shit out of it.
Yeah, you need to be on the board of the reunion, and we need to rope in Zach, and then like Kelly. Terrio is here, and I think like Abby was involved on our last reunion that we
had. Pat Hendricks.
I think we're connected on Facebook.
He lives in I want to say New Mexico.
Yeah, he's in New Mexico, but yeah, you're gonna get the word out. But we'll create a committee of sorts because it's 30 years, dude. So we gotta like get together and celebrate being alive.
I will show up there
from a state of gratitude.
I will show up there with my 2 24-year-old girlfriends, and I will be like, guys, I am so grateful for the for the life.
Bring 3.
Bring 3?
Yeah.
Bring 3? No, I'm just kidding. I am with a 30-year-old girl. Please.
That's good.
Don't
good
jump
for
on
you.
me.
That's
Everybody says that because my ex-girlfriend was 21.
That's
and
age
like,
appropriate.
You're dating a 30-year-old? Good for you, Michael. That's a good job. Incredible.
All right, my brother. Much love. Thanks for stopping by and trucking on.